My parents wanted me to sleep on their couch and split my rental income 3 ways, including with my 33-year-old sister. I grew up watching my parents drown, not in water, but in bills, in stress, in the constant anxiety of never having enough. My mom worked construction until her knees gave out. My dad cleaned houses for people who had the kind of money we could only dream about. They lived paycheck to paycheck, month to month, crisis to crisis. No savings, no investments, no plan except hoping tomorrow would somehow be better than today. My older sister took after them. 3 years older than me, she bounced from job to job. Always had an excuse. Always had a reason why this one didn't work out. Bad boss, bad hours, bad fit. The jobs kept getting shorter, the gaps between them longer, until eventually she just stopped trying altogether. At 33, she moved back in with our parents and set up her gaming station in their spare bedroom. That was 8 months ago. She hasn't worked since. But I was different. I watched the stress lines carve themselves into my mother's face. I watched my father's pride erode every time he couldn't afford something we needed. I swore I would escape that cycle no matter what it took. I worked hard in school. Not brilliant, but relentless. Got a decent job in accounting right out of college. Nothing glamorous, but stable, predictable, the kind of income you can build a life on. And then I did something my family had never done. I lived below my means. While my friends bought new cars and took vacations, I drove a 10-year-old Honda and stayed home. While they upgraded to nicer apartments, I kept my tiny studio with a leaky faucet. Every extra dollar went into savings. 8 years. That's how long it took. 8 years of sacrifice, of saying no, of watching the number in my savings account grow while everyone around me lived in the moment. I remember turning down trips with friends, bachelorette parties in Miami, ski weekends, a group vacation to Mexico. I remember eating rice and beans while my coworkers went out for lunch. I remember wearing the same work shoes until they literally fell apart, then buying replacements at Goodwill. I remember every single time someone asked why I was so cheap, and I just smiled and said I was saving for something. They thought I meant a car, maybe, or a vacation. They didn't understand I was saving for freedom, for security, for the one thing my parents never gave me, the ability to sleep at night without wondering if we'd make rent. And then, at 28, I did it. I bought my own apartment. $132,000, paid in cash. No mortgage, no debt. No one could take it from me. The day I signed the papers, I cried in my car in the parking lot. Not because I was sad, because I was finally safe. It's small, just a 1-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, but it's mine. I know every corner of it. I painted the walls myself, chose every piece of furniture, hung the pictures exactly where I wanted them. When I close the door behind me, I feel safe for the first time in my life. It's not just an apartment. It's my escape pod from the cycle of poverty I grew up in. For the past 2 years, life has been good. Work, gym, friends. My boyfriend stays over a few nights a week. We cook dinner together, watch movies, talk about the future. I'm building the financial security my parents never had. I'm finally free. Or so I thought. The text from my mom said we needed to have a family meeting. My stomach dropped when I read it. Family meetings in my family only happened when something was wrong. A death, an illness, a crisis. I spent the whole drive to their apartment imagining the worst. Was Dad sick? Had Mom's back problems gotten worse? Was someone dying? I found them waiting for me in the living room. My sister was there too, sprawled on the couch with a look on her face I couldn't quite read. Smug, almost, like she knew something I didn't. "Sit down, honey," my mom said, patting the cushion next to her. My dad cleared his throat. He looked uncomfortable, which wasn't unusual. He's never been good at talking about feelings or money or anything that matters. "We need to talk about finances," he said. I felt my shoulders relax slightly. Not a health crisis, then, just money. I'd been helping them out for 3 years now, $400 a month, transferred to their account like clockwork. I braced myself for an ask to increase it. Maybe 500. I'd done the math. I could swing 500 if I had to. What came next was so much worse. "We're struggling," my mom said, her eyes already glistening. "Social Security isn't enough. The rent keeps going up. We can't keep living like this." I nodded, sympathetic but cautious. "We've been thinking," my dad continued. "You have that apartment sitting there, costing you nothing. You could rent it out. Probably get $1,400 a month in this market. I blinked, trying to follow where this was going. "We think you should move back here with us," my mom said gently, like she was doing me a favor. "Rent out your apartment. Use that money to help the whole family." My sister finally spoke up, and I understood the smug look now. "Split it 3 ways," she said. $466 for mom and dad, $466 for me, I need to save for my own place eventually, and $466 for you. I stared at them. All 3 of them, looking at me expectantly, like this was a reasonable proposal. Like they were offering me something. "Let me make sure I understand this," I said slowly. "You want me to give up my apartment, move back here into what? The living room? And split my rental income with you and her? It's not like you need that apartment," my sister said with a shrug. "You have a boyfriend. You're not alone. What do you need a whole 1-bedroom for just for yourself some nights? We're family. We pool resources. This is how families survive," my dad added. "The ones who have more help the ones who have less," my mom said, reaching for my hand. "You've always been the successful one. With your help, we could all be comfortable." I pulled my hand away. "I've been sending you $400 a month for 3 years. I paid for that apartment with 8 years of saving. 8 years of sacrifice while everyone else was living their lives. And now I'm supposed to move into your living room and give away my income?" The guilt avalanche started immediately. My mom's tears came faster. "We raised you, fed you, kept a roof over your head. Now we're old and struggling and you won't help." My dad's face hardened. "You'd let your parents suffer so you can live in some fancy apartment alone?" My sister crossed her arms. "Sis, we're family. You're being selfish. You have more than all of us combined. And you won't share." I tried to explain. "I worked for this. I sacrificed for this." But they couldn't hear it. They saw assets, not effort. Wealth, not struggle. To them, my apartment wasn't the result of 8 years of discipline. It was something I had that they wanted. I looked around their apartment while they continued their pitch. Really looked, for the first time in a long time. There was a 65-inch TV mounted on the wall. Brand new last year. My sister's gaming setup in the corner. The latest console, a gaming chair that probably cost more than my couch, headphones that looked like they belonged to a professional streamer, which I suddenly remembered is what she claims to be now. I follow her on social media. She streams on Twitch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on weekdays. Not unemployed. Just playing video games and calling it a career. My mom's closet, visible through the bedroom door, overflowing with online shopping purchases. Dad's garage stuffed with tools he bought for projects he never finished. They're not starving. They're not homeless. They're not even poor. Not really. They're just irresponsible. They spend whatever comes in and then claim poverty when it runs out. My $400 a month probably goes to my sister's gaming subscriptions and delivery food, not rent. They wanted me to move into their living room and give away my rental income 3 ways. To my retired parents, who never saved. And my 33-year-old sister who streams video games instead of working. I was supposed to fund everyone's poor decisions with my good ones. I focused on my sister. "You're 33. You haven't worked in 8 months. Why would I give you $466 a month of my rental income?" She shrugged like the question was unreasonable. "I'm between opportunities. The market is tough. I'm looking." "You're not looking," I said, my voice flat. "You're gaming 12 hours a day. I follow you on social media. You stream on Twitch at 2 p.m. on weekdays. You're not unemployed. You're retired at 33 on mom and dad's couch. And now you want to be retired on my money, too." She got aggressive then, sitting up straight, pointing at me. "Not everyone can be a boring accountant with a boring life. Some of us are trying to find our passion. Your passion is video games and not working. That's not a career. That's a hobby funded by our parents, who can't afford to retire because they're supporting you." My mom rushed to defend her as always. "Don't attack her. She's sensitive. She's 33. When does sensitive become pathetic? Don't speak to your mother like that." My dad shouted. The whole conversation devolved into shouting, accusations flying, old resentment surfacing, everyone talking over everyone else. Classic family meeting. Finally, I forced myself to calm down. I took a breath and stated my position clearly. I'm not moving back. I'm not renting my apartment. I'm not splitting anything with anyone. I worked for what I have. I'll continue to help where I can, But I'm not sacrificing my life because you never planned for yours and she won't take responsibility for hers. My dad stood up, face red. Then you're not part of this family anymore. I stood up, too. If being part of this family means paying for everyone else's choices forever, then maybe I shouldn't be. I walked out. The door slammed behind me, but I barely heard it over the blood rushing in my ears. Update 1. 2 weeks later, I stopped the $400 monthly payments. First time in 3 years. It felt like pulling a plug on something, watching the life drain out of a relationship I'd been sustaining artificially. My parents were shocked. They'd built that money into their budget, counting on it like it was their own. My sister was furious. Less money for the household meant less for her. For the first time in years, they might actually have to tell her no. The family propaganda machine kicked into gear immediately. My parents told my aunts and uncles that I abandoned them. They said I had money but refused to help my own parents in their time of need. They painted me as the selfish daughter who forgot where she came from. Cousins started texting me. One aunt called to lecture me about family loyalty. Another uncle sent a long email about how disappointed he was in the woman I'd become. I sent them $400 every month for 3 years. They told the whole family I barely help and forgot where I came from. They cashed my transfers and called me neglectful. That's not family. That's a scam. Update 2. 1 month later. I needed to understand what was happening. So I reached out to the one cousin I still trusted. We met for coffee, and she told me everything. My parents had been running this narrative for years. According to them, I barely helped and forgot where I came from the moment I got successful. They told people I never visited, never called, never contributed. They portrayed themselves as struggling retirees with an ungrateful daughter who abandoned them for her fancy apartment. They never mentioned the $400 a month. Never mentioned that I paid for my dad's dental work last year, $3,000 out of pocket because he needed a root canal and had no insurance. Never mentioned that I bought new tires for my mom's car when hers were bald and dangerous. Never mentioned any of it. They took the help and hid it, maintaining their victim status with the extended family while cashing my transfers. My cousin showed me texts from my mom complaining about me from years ago, back when I was actively supporting them. The whole time I thought I was being a good daughter, they were telling everyone I was neglecting them. I felt sick. Betrayed in a way I didn't even know was possible. Update 3. 6 weeks later, I asked my parents to meet me alone, without my sister. Just the 3 of us at a coffee shop, on neutral ground. My mom looked hopeful when she arrived, like maybe I'd changed my mind. My dad looked defensive, arms crossed, ready for a fight. I laid out what I'd learned. The texts. The conversations. The years of them telling everyone I wasn't helping while they deposited my money every month. You told everyone I don't help while cashing my transfers every month, I said. You built a story about me being the selfish daughter while I was paying for your life. Why? My mom couldn't answer. She just stared at the table. My dad got defensive. We don't have to explain ourselves to you. Family helps without keeping score. You kept score, I said. You just lied about the numbers. Do you know how it felt to hear that you've been calling me neglectful for years? I was working overtime to send you that money. I was skipping vacations. I was driving a beater car so you could have cash for bills. And the whole time you were telling everyone I abandoned you. My mom finally looked up. We needed people to understand how hard things were. So you threw me under the bus to get sympathy. You made me the villain in your story. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence said everything. My dad started to argue, but I cut him off. I'm done. Not because you asked for too much, because you lied about what I was already giving. You took my help and used it against me. You made me look bad to the entire family while I was supporting you. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a betrayal. I left them sitting there. My mom was crying. My dad was angry. Neither of them apologized. Update 4. 4 months later. Without my financial support, things got interesting. My sister got a job. Amazing how that works. 4 months of no safety net and suddenly the market wasn't so tough. Suddenly her passion for gaming could wait until after work hours. She's working at a warehouse now. Hates it. Complains constantly, but she's employed. First real job in over a year. My cousin told me how it happened. Without my money subsidizing the household, my parents couldn't afford to let her stay for free anymore. They gave her an ultimatum, get a job or get out. First time in her life anyone had held her accountable. First time the consequences of her choices couldn't be absorbed by someone else's wallet. When I stopped the money, sister got a job in 4 months. Funny how that works. She wasn't unable to work. She was unwilling. There's a difference. The irony isn't lost on me. By refusing to enable her, I did more for her life than years of financial support ever did. My parents learned to budget. They canceled their streaming services, 3 of them, it turned out, all running simultaneously. My mom stopped her online shopping habit. They started cooking at home instead of ordering takeout 3 times a week. Dad started doing his own oil changes instead of paying for them. They were fine. They were always going to be fine. They just preferred having me pay for their comfort. Update 5. 1 year later. A year after I walked out of that family meeting, my mom reached out. Not an apology exactly, more of an olive branch wrapped in justification. "We shouldn't have asked for so much," she said over the phone. "We were just scared about money. We didn't mean to hurt you." Notice what she didn't say. She didn't say sorry for lying about me to everyone. Didn't acknowledge the years of hidden help they used to paint me as neglectful. Didn't mention the betrayal at all. In her version of events, the only problem was the ask, not the decade of manipulation that preceded it. Mom's apology was, "We shouldn't have asked for so much." Not, "We're sorry we lied about you to everyone." Not, "We're sorry we hid your help while calling you selfish." She apologized for the ask, not the betrayal. That tells me everything. "You cut off the relationship by lying about me to everyone," I told her. "That's the difference." She was quiet for a long time. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, gathering herself. Finally, she spoke again. "I'm your mother. Doesn't that count for something?" It does. It counts for a lot, actually. It's why I didn't change my number. It's why I still answered her call. It's why I still feel a pang in my chest when I see photos of her on social media looking older and smaller than I remember. Being her daughter matters to me. But being her ATM doesn't. "It counts for something," I said. "But it doesn't erase what happened, and it doesn't give you the right to treat me like a resource to be extracted." She asked if we could try again. Start fresh. I said I needed to think about it. And I did think about it. 4 weeks. What I realized is this: I can have a relationship with them. I can see them on holidays, call them on birthdays, maintain basic connection. But I can never trust them again. I can never forget what they were willing to do when they saw something I had that they wanted. Some trust, once broken, stays broken. Final update. It's a Friday night. My boyfriend is here and we're making dinner together. Music playing, wine poured, the smell of garlic and onions filling my small kitchen. My apartment. My escape pod. Still mine. I think about how different my life looks now compared to a year ago. Back then, I was hemorrhaging money to a family that resented me for not giving more. Back then, I was the villain in a story I didn't even know was being told. Back then, I thought being a good daughter meant being a good provider, and being a good provider meant sacrificing until it hurt. Now I know better. Being a good person doesn't mean being a doormat. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's survival. And family isn't just about blood. It's about mutual respect, honesty, and actually wanting each other to succeed, not just wanting access to each other's wallets. My phone buzzes. A photo from my mom. Dinner she made tonight. A small olive branch, the kind she sends every few weeks now, testing the waters. I show my boyfriend. He asks if I'm going to respond. I think about it. Send a thumbs up emoji. Not ready for more. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I'm learning to be okay with not knowing. "Are you okay?" he asks. I set the phone down and go back to stirring the sauce. I spent 3 years being their ATM while they told everyone I was neglecting them. Now they're finally managing their own lives and they want credit for it. I'm supposed to forget the lies because they learned to budget. It doesn't work that way. So what do? I send a thumbs up. I keep my distance. I protect what I built. And I never forget what they were willing to do to take it from me. People ask why I don't just help my family. I did help, for 4 years. They took the help, hid it, and asked for more while calling me selfish to anyone who would listen. That's not a family accepting help. That's a family extracting resources while maintaining victim status. I broke the cycle, not by becoming wealthy, but by setting boundaries. My apartment is mine. My money is mine. My life is mine. They can have a relationship with me, But they can't have ownership of me. That's the line. That's where I stopped being the family ATM and started being a person. They're still adjusting to the difference. So am I, but I'd rather be alone in my own apartment than surrounded by people who see me as a wallet with legs. Some lessons are expensive. This one cost me a family. Or maybe it showed me I never had one to begin with. Either way, I'm keeping the apartment. Edit. Thank you for all the support. For everyone asking, yes, I'm in therapy. No, I don't regret cutting off the financial support. Yes, my boyfriend is amazing and understands completely. And no, my sister never said thank you for all the years I helped support the household that kept her comfortable. But she did unfollow me on social media after I stopped paying. So I guess that tells you everything you need to know about where the family loyalty really stood.